Hi, so today I'm gonna do a vlog or whatever because I had a movie that I saw recently that I wanted to talk about, and I can't do videos about like analytical videos all the time because the amount of time it takes and the amount that it takes to script and do all the process, it takes too much time. So I'm gonna just give my raw thoughts on this movie because there's a lot I want to say, but it's kind of hard to put into words. So the movie I saw was Assassination Nation, and okay, so when I went to go see it, I went to go see it under the assumption that it was gonna be a bad movie, in quotes. Like, I don't like to call stuff a bad movie, but I went to go see it assuming that I would think that it was poorly made, but enjoyable. And I don't know how I feel about whether or not I was right about that, because, the thing about this movie is watching it is one of the weirdest experiences I've had because it feels like it was made for the Showgirls crowd, like people who watch Showgirls. Like, it was made as like fan service for people who like that kind of stuff, and it is simultaneously good and so bad it's good at the same time for the same reasons, by design. And the way I would describe it is it's either ironic or post-ironic or post-ironically ironic or ironically post-ironic. Either way, there's some weird thing going on with the sense of irony with this film. And so if you haven't seen it, you should probably go check it out. It's pretty good. My main warning is that it gets kind of misery pornish towards the end, and there's also a lot of like issues with misogyny, and there's some transphobia in it, and there's some like general like unpleasantness going on throughout the film, especially towards the later parts. And if you want a better like warning, then literally the film opens with a trigger warning. Like, that gives you all you need to know. Is like, this film is like weirdly like feminist bent in a way that doesn't come across like trying to win over kids. I don't know. Okay. I'll go through the basics. So the story is about four high school girls who through their like being, you know, social media savvy, like gossip girls type people, they develop a sort of like nasty passive aggressive relationship with their community, and then what happens is basically somebody hacks all their social media accounts and sort of hacks into their like tech, and then they find like dirt on everyone in the entire town, and like gradually they keep showing more and more dirt on more and more people to the point where the town sort of descends into chaos, and then they find out that the people leaking it were the main character, and so then the town goes after the main character and her three friends. There's a lot more going on in terms of plot and in terms of like tone, in terms of everything related to that. But that's the basics, is a witch hunt for the social media age, like intentionally a witch hunt. Like, they set it in Salem, Oregon, I think, but they set it in Salem as like a nod to the witch hunts kind of thing. So, yeah, so the thing about Assassination Nation is that the tone is bizarre. It's bizarre in a way that I think was by design, and I don't know if I care if it was meant to be good or not, and I don't think the creators cared if it was gonna be seen as good or not. Effectively, this feels like a movie designed to troll right-wingers and among more feminist social justice types to create this like self-aware, semi-ironic fan service for social justice people. Like, when anything happens, you almost can't tell if it's a joke or if it's serious. The first thing that really made me the editing is very flashy and sort of like kind of like trying too hard way, and I can't tell if that's by design or not. Like I can't tell if they were actually intentionally trying too hard in order to make it seem that way, or if they really just were trying too hard and maybe they should have let it off a bit. But the thing about this movie is that when I watched it, it had this feeling that like it was designed specifically for me, because I love me and my roommate love Cruel Intentions. This is we bought that for her, and we love like Showgirls, and then you know I as an individual really love like Battlefield Earth and Things, the movie, and Neil Breen films. Like I'm big on So Bad It's Good, and I'm also a huge fan of like bad rom-coms where it's like just embarrassing, and I'm also a huge fan of like anything really girly. Like here's another one. I got Legally Blonde right here, just sitting there. I love that movie, you know, like. But I also love, you know, Terminator, Predator, Alien, Last Action Hero. I'm gonna make a video about that. I'm gonna make a video about Last Action Hero. You know, I like the testosterone-fueled action stuff a lot, and but I hate Tarantino. And when this movie was coming out, people were comparing it a lot to Tarantino, and what makes that really interesting is that I fucking hate Tarantino, and I loved this movie for possibly similar reasons why people like Tarantino, but it feels like a weird exercise in like demasculinizing action movies while also like intentionally feminizing like sort of art films. And so it's this mixture of like an art film and like a black comedy, or like a deadpan comedy, and like almost a meta film, like meta the same way as like Almost Freddy Got Fingered, and then it's also like just a run-of-the-mill action thriller film. But it's mostly comedy. I would say it's mostly comedy. There's some drama elements, and the drama elements are mostly played up very straight. One of the main dramas surrounds my favorite character, which is Bex. She's played by Hari Nef. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I won't get to that immediately. But, yeah, so basically what I'm getting at is I feel like Assassination Nation is designed to be a mindfuck. It's designed to confuse everyone. And it confused me a little bit, but I enjoyed that about it a lot. Where the more it went on, the more I couldn't tell how much was ironic and how much wasn't. And then I started to figure out that it's kind of intentionally like riding that line between ironic and not ironic. And like the way I would describe it is if you spend a lot of time on Tumblr and you hate it but you kind of love it, then like Assassination Nation captures that love-hate relationship with like whiny high school social justice. And you know, they're all high school girls. Like one of the first scenes that happens in it that's I thought was hilarious, but I couldn't tell what the film was going for, is the scene where Lily, the main character, gets like called to the principal's office for like her drawings for school, and her drawings are all porn, and then she goes on this huge speech about how like the human body is natural and like you're censoring our natural urges, and like she goes on this huge rant about like how the female form is like valid and important, and like it felt so much like that scene, and any scene in the film gave off that feeling of watching like Showgirls when they're talking about eating dog chow, and it's like, this isn't what a person talks like. But I almost feel like the creators knew that that's not what people talk like, and then they intentionally made something that was like that. And so like basically what I'm getting at is, I don't know how ironic it is, but that in and of itself is what makes it worth seeing. So I'll go ahead and share some of like my favorite moments, so that it's not just abstract and I'm not just talking about the like the general stuff. So I'll get to this. My favorite character was Bex, and this is actually really important to me because this is the first time I've ever seen a movie in theaters. It's the second time ever, but it's the first time ever on a film screen in a movie theater where I saw an actual trans woman playing a trans woman in a fucking movie. I've not seen that before. All my life they were always cis men or cis women. Ace Ventura, Silence of the Lambs, you name it. I can name off a list. Like, I'm starting a whole series dedicated to that. Hopefully my next like major video is gonna be about that. Like, I don't get to see trans men on screen. And I saw Boy Meets Girl. I saw it at like a LGBT event. It wasn't like a movie theater, and that movie was good. It was okay. There's definitely flaws. It's a little heteronormative and stuff like that. And like the thing about like seeing a trans man on screen is when you haven't seen yourself on screen your entire life and you're suddenly seeing it, it kind of causes emotional reaction. And the main thing that always bothered me about watching media was that the media didn't represent me, because if I watched like The Office and watched the Jim and Pam relationship, I related to Pam, but Pam was cis, so I didn't feel like I could be her. I didn't feel like I could put myself there. And so I couldn't relate to cis characters, cis women because they were cis, and then cis men because they were men. And also cis. And so I developed this like alienation with characters, and that's why I got into stuff like Showgirls and So Bad It's Good media and like comedy and satire especially, is because I don't have to think of the characters as real. I can think of them as abstract. I can think of Xavier Renegade Angel as an abstraction of an idea, and that idea is funny, and I relate to the people making the series because I don't like the character, but I like the character as an idea. And so being able to detach from it and watch it on that layer of like enjoying it because it's stupid was cathartic for me in being able to like reclaim media for myself. And what makes Assassination Nation special is that it simultaneously does both things. It simultaneously allows me to relate to a character and feel for her and like feel like she's a real person, and an abstraction for dumb jokes and like a silly like almost satire of like LGBT activism, like so it's like both at the same time, and it's like the best of both worlds for me. It's like I can finally have a fucking character that feels like me. Like, I jokingly, you know, say dumb things about LGBT stuff because when you're an LGBT person, you kind of get in that mode of like getting fed up with the community, and so you vent by like joking about things in the community that bothers you. And Bex comes across like a character written to reflect that like disillusionment with being LGBT, you know, and like being trans, and like I can take her seriously and I can enjoy her as a like dumb showgirls type character at the same time, and that's like really awesome. Like it's really important. And so some of my favorite moments, here's where we get into some of the nitty-gritty. Joel McHale in this movie, he's great in it. I guess I'll just say spoilers. I don't know if I'm gonna spoil a lot, but I'm gonna say spoilers because then you know that I might spoil stuff that you might want to go see. But Joel McHale is like sort of a creepy, almost pedophile. Like he comes across like he was going to be a pedophile, but then okay, he's rapey. But he's Joel McHale at the same time. And you know, you see him as Jeff from Community, you see him as like the soup guy, and it's like I think that was intentional casting, and he just comes across so comedically pathetic. And me and my roommate, when we saw it, one of our favorite scenes was Joel McHale like finds the guy who's leaking stuff, and and okay, so let me backtrack a little bit. When everything leaks, first like the mayor gets outed as a crossdresser, and then he commits suicide in public. It's referencing the Bud Dwyer suicide, and it's like it's actually really darkly comedic for some reason. That's kind of the sense of humor that this movie's going with. And then the principal of the school gets outed as a pedophile, and then he doesn't resign, and that causes the town to like get really upset at him. And then the hacker just like after that, the hacker I think leaks that Joel McHale is trying to sleep with the main character, and Joel's like in his 30s and he's like a dad, and the main character is like 16, and or maybe 17, and he gets outed as a pedophile basically, and then everyone's secrets leak, and this is the best part of the movie because it gets to the point where people get so paranoid about like people knowing their dirtiest secrets that are like sort of open secrets, having it all exposed, that they all take to wearing masks, and everyone is wearing like Halloween store masks, and they're walking around to conceal their face so that like they can like simultaneously be anonymous and not anonymous. And it feels like they were referencing the Purge movies, which I haven't seen, but it feels like that's what they were referencing. And the funny thing about it is that when that happens, there's this like really funny humor about how paranoid that everybody gets, and how like they resort to this level of like puritanism. Like it's meant to mirror the witch trials, where they are literally arguing like that these high school girls who leaked all this stuff, they made the town impure, and if we want to restore our innocence, we have to kill them, basically. And so it's sort of like a modern take on the witch trials and blah 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 blah. I don't really care about that stuff. What I care about is Joel McHale's character is really like humorously pathetic in it, and what makes him so pathetic is like when this stuff happens, he sort of leads the like movement to like restore purity to the town. And first he finds the guy initially leaking the all the info on people, and when he does that, he puts him in his bathtub and he waterboards him with a hand towel, and you're watching Joel McHale waterboard a guy with a hand towel, and you're like, what the fuck? And it's just really funny. And then later, like the guy who he waterboarded, he dies. I'm guessing Joel McHale kills him, and then he's like being creepy to Lily, the main character who he was preying on earlier, and she like runs away from him in his house, and then she bumps into like the bathroom, and the bathroom has that guy, and he's dead, and he's in the bathtub dead. And Joel McHale runs up, and he's like banging on the door, Lily, Lily, and he's screaming at her, and he's like, it's not what it looks like, I didn't kill him. And it's like, he's basically saying, I didn't personally kill him, so it's not my bad. And it's like, just that line just made me laugh so fucking hard. But it's not even the funniest line. The funniest line goes to Bex. Actually, she had multiple of the funniest lines. And my favorite line was when the guy gets outed as a crossdresser, and then he commits suicide, the mayor of the town, all of Lily and Bex and all their friends are like talking about it, like they're sort of gossiping about it, and they were basically like, Lily was basically, or I don't know if it was Lily, but one of them was basically saying like, it's like kind of shitty and homophobic that like people treated him that way just because he was cross-dressing. Like it's like doesn't matter if that's what he wants to do, that's his prerogative. And Bex was basically saying like, yeah, but that guy took like really homophobic stances and he did shitty things the LGBT community, so like, and then she says, she like, you have to see it for it to really register, but she says like, he basically like apparently was like really transphobic and stuff, and then Bex says like, he's not gonna mourn my death, so why should I mourn his, bitch? And like the way she says it was so like chewing the scenery intentionally that when I saw that, I burst into laughter so hard that I couldn't stop laughing for the next like entire scene after that. And I kept giggling to myself thinking back. And there's tons of funny stuff. Lily's brother has some of the best moments. This is the last moment I'm gonna spoil for the comedy bits, but like Lily gets in a fight with her parents and they get really upset at her, and then Lily storms off from dinner, and her brother's just sitting there, and the parents are there quiet and upset, and the brother's like, did you see that video on YouTube where the guy got mauled to death by like 6 lions? And then they're like, and then the dad's like, no, I didn't. And then there's this long pause, and then the brother's like, it was pretty cool. And that's like the funniest thing ever to me. Like, because the part of the point of the film is that it's sort of commenting on like the way in which social media fuels sort of indifference and even like hostility towards people. Ooh, it's starting to rain pretty heavy. That's pretty cool. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is that the movie has this mix of like Coen Brothers dry black humor with like the Tarantino-esque like power fantasy stuff mixed with like almost Showgirls level of like nonsense to the point where it's absurd, and every scene is like funny in a weird way where you can't tell how funny they're trying to be, but you know they're trying to be at least a little bit ironic. And I really recommend it because I just thought it was like the first movie tailored to an audience of people like me who want to enjoy things semi-ironically but wholeheartedly love it at the same time. Like, I don't hate Showgirls. I don't hate the movies that I, watch ironically. I don't even think of them as ironic. And so, I think Showgirls is like a good movie, and I think that Battlefield Earth is a good movie. And The Room is a good movie, and people are going to give me shit for that. But, like, Assassination Nation is a movie that captures my sense of, like, not detached irony, but sort of enthusiastic half-irony in such a way that, I can see it being a thing that men wouldn't really like, and that a lot of more, like, feminist-leaning women would love, or would, maybe find problematic, but, it was really good, and I really liked being able to see a trans woman on screen, and I really liked having characters who simultaneously were so ridiculous that I couldn't, like, fathom them as anything other than a joke, but also weirdly relatable. And the editing is killer, the visuals are killer, the pacing is pretty good, it kind of stumbles in the last third, and the costumes are awesome. They dress so good in that whole movie, and that's another thing. I love costumes. I wish movies would have people dress better. So yeah, that movie is good. Go check it out.